Hey friend, do you love the smell of books? Maybe you absolutely delight in the sound of a pen gliding across a page as you write. Hi, my name is Shira Rodriguez, and I am a Jesus follower, a writer, entrepreneur, and lover of all things boho and books. In this podcast, I want to take you on a journey of discovering yourself, discovering God and your passions, and how to make your life beautiful and so full that it overflows into the lives of others. And over here, we are not about compartmentalizing life. Oh no. Over here, we talk about holistically taking your life and presenting it as a place where others can be blessed just by knowing you. Are you excited? I am. So snag your favorite mug of tea or a pen and paper and let's jump in. Because you're listening to Her Reading Life podcast. Hello friends, welcome to another episode of Her Reading Life podcast. How are you? I hope you're doing well and that you're having a lovely, lovely week. What are you guys up to? So honestly, this week has been a little bit stressful for me this last week, and it wasn't really because I was facing anything particularly stressful. I've just had an added amount of work at work, but honestly, something that I've started to try to do is to let God take care of a lot of it and start establishing some habits and honestly take some time to just give myself grace and breaks. I feel like people just don't talk enough about how we need to have breaks, how we need to do things that just fill us up before we can try to keep up with the work. Because so often we think that we need to do more, we need to do more stuff to be able to really bring meaning or be productive, when actually the contrary is true. Sometimes when we're so pedal to the metal, we lose out on the most important things in life. In my gratitude journal, I have a quote that I really love, and for today, I had a quote that said, "Pay attention to the little things, because one day you'll realize that they were the big things all along." And I think that's so important and so key to understand that sometimes in the busyness of life, we get caught up with all the to-dos and we act like that is the most important thing in the world, when in reality, sometimes if we look back, those are the things that aren't really going to matter in the long run. And it's so much more important to focus on those beautiful moments, the people that you're with, and just loving others and taking time to do what you love and developing your gifts. Something that I've honestly prayed to the Lord is, Lord, I don't want to be the person who looks back on their life and thinks, oh my word, I should have done that, or I should have fulfilled this dream, or I should have done something with this talent that you gave me. I want to be the person that uses all the talents that the Lord has given me. And to do that, we have to get out of that workaholic mentality and just surrender it to the Lord and be okay with maybe doing things a little bit slower than we might expect, but enjoying every moment, seizing the moments, and being okay with things not being absolutely perfect. Because in the end, is a typo really going to matter as much as it matters to us in that moment? In the grand scheme of things, is it really going to matter? And that's actually what I'm going to be talking about with Ryan and Valerie and Kristianne as we dive into the 3 questions that I love to ask my podcast guests. If you've been around the podcast for a little while, you already know what these questions are. And I'm so excited for you guys to listen to their answers because they are really, really good. And I hope that they inspire you and bless you. So without further ado, let's jump in. All right, girlies. So we have gotten to the last 3 questions that I ask all my guests that come onto my podcast. So are you guys ready?
Absolutely.
Yes. All right. So Valerie, I'm going to start with you. So how do you live? So what things make you feel glad to be alive? How do you fill yourself up? So this can be things like taking walks or prayer or reading or baking, etc. You can probably tell that this is very Annish.
It is very Annish, which is why it's so perfect. So I think there's honestly a variety of things. Totally second going on walks. I absolutely love sunsets. If I can, I try to go on a walk when the sun is setting. It feels a little bit like getting a message from God, just saying, "Here you go. I see you. This is for you. This is beauty for the sake of beauty, and I've got you. It's gonna be okay." I definitely go on walks when I'm stressed or upset about something, and so seeing a sunset just feels like a reminder that God is nearby. So I love going on walks. That definitely makes me feel alive, and I love, of course, talking with friends, hanging out, and just encouraging each other and lifting each other up. I also host a book club at my house once a month, so whenever we get together and just talk about books, it feels really just like, this is it, this is where it's at. And whenever we're done talking, we are all like, oh my gosh, we need to go home and read. Like, now we've just been talking about reading for 3 hours, and all I want to do is go home, sit on the couch with a cup of tea and a blanket, and just read. So things like that. And I love traveling, I love going to musicals and the movie theater. Kind of like what Ryan was saying, like, we just as humans love stories. And I love, yeah, anything that has to do with the story, whether it's a movie or the symphony, with music or whatever it may be. So those are the things for sure.
I love that. Yes, me too. I absolutely love musicals, and going outside on walks, I feel like is so underrated. It is such therapy to just literally go outside and walk even for 5 minutes and just
Oh,
breathe in some fresh air and things like
mhm.
that. It's so beautiful. It really is. And I think God meant it that way, to just refresh us. How about you, Ryan? What are some ways that you like to fill yourself up? So, how do you live?
Yeah. Um, my faith is really the undercurrent to how I live. So I'd have to start out by saying that spending time with God and just remembering that I'm glorifying Him by living out the gifts and opportunities He's given me just in an intentional way. But writing is one of my favorite things to do, but I also love incorporating art and music into my life however I'm able. Also love musicals, just have to say. Last week I went to an amazing production of Anastasia and it was so much fun.
I love
Wow.
that one. Yes. That's one of my favorites.
I
hmm
love that. That's so cool. I did not know they were on tour.
No, it wasn't a tour. It was actually a school production, but you couldn't tell it was a school production. It was incredible.
Oh, those are the
That's
best.
awesome.
Yes.
That is amazing. Also, you have a penchant for Spotify playlist making, right?
Oh, yes. Yes. I'll talk about that more for the next question.
Oh, okay. Okay. How about you, Kristianne?
Yeah, so I find like just enjoying the arts really fills me up creating, whether that's books, movies, actions, and then taking walks definitely helps just to clear your mind and looking for ways to always learn, going down a rabbit trail of research or something fun like that just really helps me kind of live with the perspective of always being a student wherever I am.
That's so beautiful because when you're able to foster that kind of a love of learning, you honestly open your mind to receive these beautiful lessons that God teaches you through life. And I think those are kind of like the gems of even living. So that because you can also pass these on to other people. It's just a legacy that you can leave behind of these like gems of wisdom. And I love that.
Yes, exactly.
So, Valerie, I would love to hear your thoughts on this one. So, how do you give? So, how do you pour into others and love others? I'm super excited to hear your thoughts on this one.
Oh, thanks. I so my love languages are words of affirmation and gifts. And so how I end up just through with my personality and how I'm wired, I just love to make letters, thank you cards, any chance I have to express how much I care about someone. I love to let them know in written form so they can hold on to it because that's something I super appreciate receiving from people. I love giving people gifts for their birthday, for Christmas, for reaching a milestone, or just when you see something that makes you think of them so that way you can show them that, like, I hear you when your favorite color is orange, or that your favorite snack is this, and I'm, getting that for you, and showing you that I care about you. So those are the ways that I try to pour into others. And recently, as I've been getting a little bit older in terms of like in my circles with young adults, and having others younger than me interacting, whether it's like in a church group or at the book club or something, I've been realizing that I was once the person that was following, right? And now I'm becoming the person that's more of a leader, and I've been trying to take ownership of that and try to find ways to include people, be aware of where people's comfort levels are at, and just make sure that everyone's having fun, and all of that. And so I've been trying to be more aware of others, and where they're at, and try to find different ways to include them.
I love that. And I absolutely love your big warm heart for just caring about people and making people feel comfortable. It's just so perceptible, and I love it so much.
Thank you.
How about you, Ryan? What are some of your favorite ways to pour into others and love others?
So my favorite way to give, especially as an introvert, is by sharing things that remind me of different people, and just hopefully inspiring them in those small ways, just kind of picking up on the unique things about people, kind of like what Valerie was saying, just making them feel like they're seen, and just remembering those specific things about them. And here's when my favorite hobby comes in. It might sound a little bit random, but I love making music playlists for people, and just sharing songs that either remind me of just people, maybe things they're going through, maybe even like their favorite stories. I love making playlists for authors that remind them of their books or their characters and such. So it just kind of blesses me in a way when I'm giving it to them too, because I have so much fun with it.
That is so unique. I love it.
That is really, really fun. I do not have that gift, so I love that you give that to other people.
Thank you.
It's like so specific and detailed and original. So it's like it comes as a surprise. It's such a lovely, sweet surprise. So I love that.
Yeah, so similar to Valerie, my love language is words of affirmation. So I love texting and just checking in with friends and leaving encouraging notes for them, and also just being there to listen to them and let them know that there's someone who cares. And then, yeah, just being involved with my church, with different activities there, and with my local young adults group.
That's so beautiful. I love that. I love also that specifically Val and Kristianne. I love that kind of almost old-fashioned, beautiful habit of, writing letters or writing people handwritten notes, because it's almost like an abandoned thing nowadays, like that people don't do it as often as I wish they did. But it touches me so much when people take the time to do that. It's just a lovely gesture.
Totally agree.
Yeah, definitely a lost art.
Hey there, listener. Are you enjoying this episode? I truly hope so. Now that you've made it this far, I'm guessing you probably like reading. A lot. And you're in luck, because I do too. In fact, I love reading so much that there are very few times during the day where I don't have my head stuck in a book or listening to audiobooks. But let's be honest, sometimes we don't have the time to prepare that idyllic reading moment with a cup of coffee or a mason jar with chilled iced tea. Sometimes you just have to read on the go. I'd love to share with you my absolute favorite reading apps that I've honestly fallen in love with over the years. I can honestly say that these apps have radically transformed my reading life and enabled me to discover books that I would never otherwise have stumbled upon or had the opportunity to read. And the best part, you can get this list for free right now if you wish to. All you have to do is head over to your favorite browser and type bio.site/Shira J. Rodriguez. That's bio.site/Shira J. Rodriguez. Or you can click on the link in the show notes below to access this completely free resource. I can't wait to hear your thoughts and find out which one of these apps becomes your favorite. Before we jump back into this episode, I wanted to tell you about a secret project I'm working on, and I think this might be right up your alley. You see, for years, I looked for a writing and reading community of young women who delighted in exploring ideas, discovering books together, and worked together to compose literary masterpieces and enduring friendships. Does this sound a little like a feminine inklings club? Okay, yeah, maybe it does a little bit. But recently, however, I've been beyond blessed to find other young women who yearned for the same kind of connections I did. And if you're someone whose heart is just burning right now, listening to me talk and getting all excited, I have amazing news for you. I'm working on a community-based project that I'm so excited to give more details about. If you're interested in learning more and joining, hop onto my waiting list by heading over to bio.site/Shira J. Rodriguez. That's bio.site/Shira J. Rodriguez. I so hope to see you there, friend. And now, let's jump back to the episode.
So here we go for our last one. How do you repeat? So what habits have you implemented or are trying to implement to create a beautiful and balanced lifestyle? So this can be waking up early, praying before work, drinking water, or any other habits, random or non-random, that you might be trying to just bring into your life to make it smooth and to give yourself more time to actually do the things that you love.
Yeah, that is a great question, and definitely something that every New Year's comes around, and I'm like, okay, time to reset my habits. I need to develop better habits. But one thing that I have been trying to do recently in repeating is just due to having a variety of digestive issues last year, I've been really trying to prioritize, okay, how can I just support my body physically? And part of that is obviously eating better, exercising, but a huge thing I've been trying to implement is just drinking more, drinking more water, drinking tea in the mornings and tea at night. I find really sets my day well and ends my day well with my stomach. And so I've been trying to be better about that. And I recently got a new job at my church's seminary. And so they have a Keurig in the break room. And so I've been trying to be intentional about walking over with my mug and making myself a cup of tea and like, okay, so, trying to get that done. And I have a bottle, those fun bottles that say like, as the water goes down, you're almost there. You got this. You did it. Okay, refill or whatever. I recently bought one of those and it's actually genuinely very helpful to like motivate myself to drink throughout the day. So that's something I've been doing. And since in relation to having a new job, I've been trying to in the busyness and just and I know it won't always be like this, but coming home and being mentally drained from just a lot of new information, I've been trying to find, okay, what is one thing I can do this evening that is relaxing, that is like purposefully relaxing, something that I know will make me feel just so and that can be a variety of different things, but I've been trying to prioritize a time in the day where I'm not rushing around or letting my mind go crazy. So those are some things I've been trying to implement.
I love that. Yes. And especially since, writing is such a sedentary kind of
Exactly.
process, action, there's that temptation of being like, oh, I'll get the water in a little bit. Oh, I'll feed myself in a little bit.
Exactly.
I actually had times where my mom is like, hey, you need to eat something. And I'm like, I'm coming in just a sec. Give me 5 more minutes. And those 5 minutes turn into like 45. And so, yes, that's definitely a habit that I'm trying to do, especially with the water. Oh, yes. And I saw that one on Instagram, your bottle. I love it. I need to get myself one of those.
Oh, yeah.
How about you, Ryan?
Yeah, so I'm definitely not perfect at and definitely still trying to implement these in my life, but a few of them would be praying more often for sure. Hopefully, just starting good and meaningful conversations, not just leaving it at small talk and being satisfied, just trying to build more meaningful connections in just, I don't know, a more intentional way. Spending time in nature is a big one for me, and totally agree with tea. I try to have a cup of matcha tea at least once a day, probably no more than one would be good though. Can't have too much tea. That's just as much a struggle. Because I love tea. But that's just kind of a fun thing I try to do every morning. It's just I don't know, cozy thing.
Yes.
It is tea.
Yes. I've started having, I think, like a rooibos tea with oat milk. It's the best. So good.
Yes.
And yes, tea is so delicious. But yeah, it can be so difficult to really try to get beyond, just the small talk and really dive deep into people, and getting into these deeper conversations. Because sometimes you can have that fear of like, oh, are they going to think this is weird or that I'm just diving in too deep or something? But there are these like beautiful, when you ask certain questions and when you are able to get to the hearts of people, it just unlocks something really beautiful about them that maybe you didn't know or that you didn't see before. And that's such a great habit to really bring into your life and into your conversations and your relationships. I love that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
All right, Kristianne, your turn.
Yeah. So consistency has never really been my strong point, so it's definitely an area I'm still working on. But I try to have my devotions every morning, at least read a psalm in the morning. I'm not always perfect at that, but I find it really does affect my day and kind of set my mindset in the right way for the rest of the day. And also, spending time with friends, because as an introvert, that can be a struggle sometimes too, especially when you're tired in the evenings after work to fit that in. But it's so important. And
Oh
then
yeah.
lately, I've been really trying to eat more healthfully balanced meals by making a weekly menu.
Oh yeah. That's so helpful when you can plan it in advance.
Totally. I love that. And yes, making time for that devotion, it totally changes your morning. It changes that time that you have, your whole day, honestly. At least for me. But it is a habit. There are mornings where you're like, I clean forgot. And, or that you're like, oh, wait a minute, I'll do it in just a little bit. And, like the 5 minutes turns into 45, and those 45 turn into, 5 hours. And just creating that habit of putting God first. I'm working on that myself because it's been so crazy lately. Now that I've been able to get back to some normal things after a lot of some crazy family stuff that's been going on that just hasn't allowed me to do what I normally did and be in the same routine. Now that I'm actually kind of getting back into the groove, I'm just sometimes overwhelmed with like there is a huge to-do list and I'm trying to read and trying to focus and or just thinking, okay, wait a minute, once I do this to-do list, then I'll have the mental energy to focus on God's word. But
Right.
I'm finding that time, that perfect time just never happens. So you just have to, set out that time to sit down and say, okay, God, here's my day with all its craziness. Here's my crazy brain that is probably super distracted. But here I am, Lord. I'm here for you to use. I'm here for you to use as your vessel. So I love that so much.
Yeah, I think that's a great illustration too, that we don't need to come to God in those perfect moments or just at the right time. Like he accepts us whenever, no matter how crazy life is or how messy we feel.
Amen to that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, girls. Thank you so, so much for joining me in this conversation. I have had an absolute blast. I'm just so grateful and honored that you guys came on with me and had this chat.
Thanks for having us, Shira. It's been really fun to talk to other book lovers, other writers, and just discuss reading and writing. And it's always very soul filling. It feels like my book club.
I love that.
For sure. It's an honor to be here. So much fun.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Shira. This is a lot of fun.
No, thank you, girls, so much. I love you guys so much, and I hope that you have a lovely rest of the evening.
Did you enjoy that conversation? I truly, truly hope so. I couldn't believe when I finished editing this, I couldn't believe that this was the last episode for this conversation. I couldn't believe that we'd gone so far and that we'd been able to journey and talk about so many beautiful subjects in this conversation. And I'm so grateful that you guys were there and able to listen to this, because truly this was an experience that I honestly felt so blessed to be able to be a part of and to hear the hearts of these amazing writers. as they share their stories, as they inspire each other and build each other up, and hopefully have built you up and inspired you as well along the way. If you want to get in contact with any of these lovely girls, I have their links in the show notes below, which you can absolutely check out. I also have it on my website, where you can also check the links like Kristianne's page on Instagram, Valerie's book on Amazon, and Ryan Elizabeth's Substack website called Stellify. You can check all of these links and so much more on my website and in the show notes below. I hope you have an amazing and very blessed week, and I can't wait to chat again. Until next time, friends, continue to live, give, and repeat. Yay! You did it! I'm giving you a lovely big virtual hug because you just finished another episode of Her Reading Life podcast. If you'd like to access all the wonderful links I mentioned in this episode, visit my website at bio.site/Shira G. Rodriguez. That's bio.site/Shira G. Rodriguez. There you can access my blog posts, resources, and so much more. Also, check out my Instagram page for more inspirational content and join my email list for insider secrets and exclusive updates on special events. The links are in the description box below. Also, if you could take a minute and leave a review for this podcast, that would be amazing. We're able to reach so many more people because of your reviews and ratings. I can't wait to chat with you next time, friends. Keep living, giving, and repeating.